Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Sabrina and I am the owner of Stuffies. It's been a while since I've been on YouTube as far as long form content, but I figured it is time to get back to YouTube, answer lots of questions, show you new stuff that I've got coming out. So I figured why not come back with a Q&A. I put a Q&A on my Instagram, I think like back in November, but I screenshotted all the questions. I wrote down some of the questions that I can answer here in this YouTube video, and why not knit while I chat and answer some of the questions that I got. It has been super cold here in Pennsylvania, so I have this nice blanket around me to keep me warm. It's always cold in my office. So I made this blanket last year for Valentine's Day, and I never put it up on my website to sell it. And then this year I decided that I just wanted to add a border to it. And then after I added the border to it, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep this blanket for myself, because believe it or not, I've only made one blanket for myself, and that was the very first blanket that I made. So I guess it's time that I can have another blanket for myself without selling it. So I now own 2 chunky knit blankets. Anyway, let's get to the questions. I am working on making a pig body. I'll also be working on making an elephant body too throughout the duration of this video. So feel free to grab some yarn or whatever craft or activity you love doing while you're watching this video, and you can also knit or do whatever it is that you like doing along with me. Okay, so some of the first set of questions are about my business, how I got started. One of the questions, when did you start this endeavor? What age did you start doing this? And how did you start this work, your first experience? So it was 2019. It was actually for my 23rd birthday. So I started doing this at 23. That my husband had gotten me like a knitting book, and then to go along with it, we could go to the store to grab some yarn. And because I had mentioned wanting to do like a chunky knit blanket, we grabbed some chunky blanket yarn, and then I went home and I made a blanket. So my birthday is at the end of September, so it was October 2019 that I made my very first blanket. So I was 23 and I started in 2019. As far as I started the business, it would have been the next month, November 2019, that I started my Etsy account. But before my Etsy account, I had made my I had made my sister a blanket because I showed her my blanket and then she wanted one. And then I also had made some blankets as gifts. I decided to start the Etsy account because I realized that there was a lot of interest in these blankets and that people really wanted one. So I figured, why not make an Etsy account and just make some blankets for some people and make a little bit of extra money while doing it. So that is when I started, and that was also my first experience. So the next question was, how did you start making things other than blankets? So it was the summer of 2021 when I started trying to make other things with the chunky blanket yarn. After I had made the blankets, I started doing a little bit of knitting. I knit some hats and like headband ear warmers. And then I also tried to do a little bit of crochet, which as far as doing scrunchies. So I crocheted some scrunchies. Once I decided I wanted to do something else with the chunky blanket yarn, I decided to try to make a pillow, which that would have been summer 2021 at some point. So I had made a few pillows. I made the round pillow poofs, the long pillow poofs, and then when I was in the middle of making a round pillow poof, so it's kind of like this. So I'm making the round pillow poof, which is just a round circle. I had flipped it over like this, and I was like, I think I was probably a little bit further into the project. I was like, like with the little loops, it kind of looks like an octopus, so I decided to try and make an octopus. I tried probably like 6 times trying to get the pattern right, trying to figure out what to do, how to add eyes, because at that point I hadn't added eyes to anything because it was just blankets and pillows. So I was not confident at all in those octopus. I was like, I don't think anyone's gonna like this. But then my brother came and visited. He is like one of my number one supporters as far as buying stuffies from me. But he came and he saw like my 6 octopus or octopi lined up, and he's like, oh my goodness, I want one of these. I'm like, they're not even that good. And he's like, no, I love it. I want an octopus. I'm like, okay, I guess you can have an octopus. Out of all of the octopi, I think only one of them had like the eyes in it, and I really didn't like that one and how it turned out at all. And that was his favorite one. So he bought the octopus with the eyes, and I was like, okay, maybe I should try to keep doing them. He seems to like them. Maybe other people will like octopus too. So that is, I just kept working on it throughout the summer into the fall. And then at that point, I think I had the octopus pattern down pretty good. But in November, I was home for Thanksgiving, and my sister had asked me if I could make her a bumblebee. And I was like, maybe. I think it's pretty straightforward. I'll give it a try. November 2021, my sister and I go to Michael's together. We pick up the yarn, yellow, black, and white, traditional colors. I give it a try. It turned out great on the first try, which was very shocking to me, but I just decided to go with it, and that's what gave me the confidence to announce that I'm now going to be selling bumblebees and octopus or octopi. So that's kind of the story of how I got started in making stuffies and how I got started into making other things other than blankets. So ever since I made the octopus and the bee, it was actually the pig that I made next, and then the elephant. And I've continued to refine these patterns as time has gone on. And then since then, I've started sharing how to make those as well through my video tutorials and now written patterns as well. So next question is, what is your bestseller, blankets, stuffies, or patterns? So that's a great question. So as far as online sales, my bestseller is definitely the video tutorials and patterns for my stuffies. The best sellers for those were the Christmas tree just this past Christmas, and then the heart stuffy as well. Any holiday theme stuffies that I found, which I don't have too many, basically just the heart and the Christmas tree pumpkin as well, those sell really well. People really love those. And then after that, after video tutorials is DIY kits, and then online, last thing is actually stuffies. I think because of the style of my videos on my social media, people really tend to want to learn how to do this themselves, which is why I think the stuffies don't sell as well as the video tutorials and the DIY kits, because people just really they find my account, they see me doing it, and then they want to learn how to do it themselves. So, and then in person at markets, I of course don't sell the video tutorials at markets. I can direct people to it, but I'll bring my DIY kits and stuffies. I don't bring blankets to my markets anymore, which I'll get into that in just a little bit. But the stuffies are my number one seller at markets, in-person markets. People aren't really seeing me doing it. They see the stuffies and they want to buy the stuffies. And then the DIY kits will sell occasionally as I'm at markets. So it's actually kind of fun seeing the differences in online sales versus markets. I love being able to go to markets, just seeing the joy on people's faces when they look at the stuffies. I love having just those two different scenes of like social media, online website, and being able to teach and share my patterns so that people can learn to do it on themselves. But then I also love just going in-person events, markets, craft fairs, whatever you want to call them. Being able to go and show my work, my art, my stuffies. I just love having both of those options as ways that I can produce an income and sell and bring joy to people in different ways, whether it's through the physical stuffies and them having it, or them making it themselves. So a number of factors of why I don't sell blankets at my markets anymore. One, they're just bigger. They take up more room in the car. I like to bring a ton of stuffies. I usually bring way too many stuffies to markets. So I just don't have a lot of room in the car, in the minivan that we have, to bring a lot of blankets with me. I found that the stuffies just sell a whole lot better than blankets do, which as time has gone on, my time is very limited to prep for markets. So I don't have as much time to prep for markets making blankets as I do with stuffies. It's much quicker to make a mini bumblebee or a pig or any of the stuffies than it is to make a blanket, of course. And then lastly, I just found that the blankets don't sell as well because they are a higher price point. People are more interested in the stuffies. So that's just why I don't bring blankets to markets anymore. The next category or section of next round of questions are all about advice and tips for small businesses. So someone asked, best advice for someone who wants to start a blanket business. And a super cliche common answer is to just start. So when I started, I wasn't planning on necessarily making a small business. It kind of just happened. I saw that I had posted some pictures of my blankets to just like my personal Facebook and Instagram account, and I just got a lot of response to it. I went to a bridal shower and I had made a blanket for the bride-to-be, and people loved the blanket. There were so many comments on, wow, look at that blanket, that thing is huge, it looks so cozy and soft. And that's kind of when I realized that people wanted blankets. So I figured, why not just go and starting on my personal Instagram and Facebook, so why not just see if there's interest there? And there was a little bit of interest, so I figured, let's just make some more blankets. And then from there, I quickly decided I'll just start an Etsy account, an easy way for people to purchase, even friends or family. It's an easy way for them to purchase. It's set up nice and easy over there. So that's kind of what I decided to do. At the start, it was very, very slowly, but I wasn't advertising it a whole lot. I hadn't started my Instagram, my business Instagram account. I'll get to that a little bit later, but it was very much, I just relied on the, whatever you call it on Etsy, the Etsy algorithm, for people to just find me organically on Etsy. I didn't do a lot of advertising or marketing. I think I posted just a few times on my Instagram, my personal Instagram, personal Facebook. So people that I am already connected with already know. So I got a few purchases there. So it was a very slow growth, a very slow start, that first 2 years or so of starting my business. It was also the pandemic. I had signed up for some markets in 2020. They got canceled. And then my first official in-person market wasn't until October of 2021. And then in April of 2020, I found out I was pregnant with my first baby, my daughter. And then, of course, after I had my daughter, early 2021, I'm just learning how to be a mom, figuring things out as I go. So I had a lot of things against me in some ways, with constantly having to slow down and not pushing my business forward, focusing on being a mom, trying to figure out how to do in-person events, which were just not there at the start of my business because of the pandemic. So it was a very slow start. But all that to say, to answer the question of best advice for someone who wants to start a blanket business would be to just start. Start out slow. You don't have to do anything really big. You don't have to start an Instagram account to begin. You don't have to do all the things that you see everyone else doing. You can start out slow and just work step by step slowly as you go. And I think as you go, you'll learn about social media, you'll learn what works, what doesn't work, whether it's creating an Etsy account, doing your own website, doing in-person markets. But that is definitely, I think, a big factor is doing markets. A lot of markets may require you to show kind of proof that you have some sort of business set up. So you may want to start an Instagram account, you may want to set up an Etsy account or your own shop in some type of way, some kind of online presence. Every market's different, but in my experience, a lot of markets that I've done, having an online presence helps with doing the application. I think doing markets for me, even though it wasn't until 2021, almost 2 years later, doing in-person events is what helped encourage me to keep going, because I was able to go to these events and I saw the excitement about my products. It made me want to keep going and keep doing markets and keep going with trying to sell online. So markets, finding markets in your local area, doing them. That way you can create product and you don't have to worry about trying to sell it online. You can just take the products that you're making, bring it to the market and sell them there. So I definitely recommend trying out markets. And then on the flip side, the other question that I received is biggest tips on how to make sales online and build a business. So one of my biggest tips for sales online and building your business online would definitely be to post consistently. You want to make sure that you're getting your products, what you're selling, out there. And the best way to do that, if you're going to be online, is to go through social media. That's at least what my experience has been. Just staying consistent, even if you're not getting the likes, you're not getting the comments, then they're not translating to sales. The more you do it, the more you'll have eyes on your product. So someone might not buy something the first time you post, but they might buy something the fifth time you post. So I wasn't getting a whole lot of online sales. Being on Etsy, there was a little bit of organic traffic there, which kind of brought in some customers occasionally, which was nice to be able to have that. It wasn't until I started posting on social media consistently and I really kind of found my target audience, that's when my sales started to grow as far as physical items like the Stuffies. Once I really figured out that what people really wanted on my social media, every social media is going to be different as far as what people are wanting from you as far as products. But for me, it was people, because of the content I think that I was producing, people really wanted to know how they can make the Stuffies. So once I started producing tutorials, DIY kits, that's when I really started seeing orders come in. So for you, it might look a little bit different, but I definitely recommend just staying consistent with your posting. It also helps when you're producing content that is engaging. Along with posting consistently, you do want to make sure that your content is good quality content. You don't want to just be posting just to post. I'll do that honestly still sometimes. I just want to make sure that I'm getting my product out there so that people are continuing to see what I'm selling and what I'm doing with my business. So I definitely recommend posting consistently, posting good quality content that your target audience or your followers want to see. So producing content will help translate to sales as well, because if you're not posting, people aren't seeing it, which means that people are not going to be purchasing your product if they're not going to be seeing it. I'd say also, if you're on social media and you're advertising and marketing on there, you're doing your content, make sure people know where to go to purchase your products. So whether it's you have like a little link in your bio to your website, I have something called Linktree where I can put in a bunch of different links for people to purchase the product. So based on what I'm posting, I'll change the order or put in a new link. So whatever I'm posting about is right at the top, so people don't have to go searching for it through my Linktree or going to my website and then trying to find the product from there. And then the last question in that category is, do you have any advice on growing followers for a small business? So I'll kind of just share my experience in growing followers on my social media. My Instagram started growing very slowly again. So it was July 2020 that I started my Instagram account. Again, I was pregnant. I did like 8 posts. And then I had my daughter, and then it wasn't until August 2021 that I came back and was starting to post consistently on my social media. So I think at that time I was prepping for my first market, which was the October 2021. So I wanted to have that online presence there and kind of share like behind the scenes of prepping for the market. So that's why I finally started back up on my social media. I was kind of out of the postpartum phase. I was ready to get back into things and try to create online sales, try to get ready for this market. So I figured why not start posting and trying to be more consistent. So from August 2021 to August 2022, a full year, I stayed consistent. I started getting into doing reels, which of course was a little bit slower at the start. I didn't have a great phone, so if you go back and scroll to some of my very first reels, you'll see that they're kind of glitchy a little bit blurry. So I just decided to do the reels anyway and give it a try, even though I didn't have the best camera. So I did that for a full year of being consistent, trying my best to do quality content. So finally in August 2022, I had my first reel go viral, and that is how I gained a bunch of followers. I think I went from under 1,000 followers to almost 90,000 followers just from that one reel. And then of course with that one reel, I think it sits at like 6.8 million views. I think from that one reel, all of my reels below that one were also picking up traction as well. So people were seeing the video, they went to my profile, and then they were watching a bunch of my other reels as well, which was kind of awesome. So that is my main advice, and it still goes back to what I was saying before about staying consistent and posting quality content as well. So that reel that went viral was a video of me making a chunky knit blanket, and I think that was the second video that I posted. So kind of just behind the scenes of me making a blanket, and people really loved that. So I thought at that point, oh my goodness, my sales are going to go crazy. Like all these people are seeing my stuff. People are going to want to buy blankets. People are going to want to buy Stuffies. And believe it or not, my sales did not hardly moved at all. I don't think I was going on my website, I'm like, I have to change the inventory for this so that way people aren't buying things like crazy, and then all of a sudden I just have so much stuff I don't know what to do with, or so many orders that I don't know what to do with. That didn't happen at all. And it just turns out, reading through the comments, people just wanted to know how to make the blankets themselves. So it took me a number of months to kind of realize this and kind of get on board about sharing my patterns with people and creating video tutorials. I did not have a lot of confidence in being able to teach my patterns, but it all worked out. That's not the point of the question. The point is advice on growing. So all that to say, when you find something that works, stick with it. So people really loved kind of the above view of watching me knit. People also like seeing the behind the scenes. They like knowing how to create the things. So once I figured out that people really liked the type of content that I was creating, I kind of stuck with that content. I would also create other content as well, but if I noticed something worked, I kind of stuck with it to help continue with the engagement, continue with growing following on social media. And then after that initial first viral video, I think it took quite some time before I finally got another viral video. So for me, in my experience, it's the viral videos that helps grow my following. And then also I would have to say the specific niche that I'm in, so finger knitting. So along with growing followers outside of the hand knitting community to bring people into the hand knitting community so that other people can learn how to do this, create businesses just for fun, whatever it is that people want to do with this art, with this craft. I also like to focus in on the hand knitting community that's already there, creating content for other hand knitters so that they can kind of come in, that they can see my tutorials, and they can continue growing their business. So I try my best to grow my following in my specific niche as well, my specific target audience, which would be other hand knitters, and growing that community as best that I can. So within my content, I'm trying to help other hand knitters by doing tips and tricks, and also just asking questions within my content. So I just recently did a video asking other crafters where they prefer to do their craft. Do they prefer to do it on their bed? Do they prefer to do it at a table, on the floor? And I found that really was great for engagement and involving other hand knitters, finger knitters, involving them in my content, if that makes sense. Long story short, I'm trying to grow my followers outside of the hand knitting community, but also inside of the hand knitting community. So both. So I hope that answers the question just a little bit. So that is all of the questions that I have. If you have any more questions, leave it down in the comments. I'll try to answer those questions. And if I keep seeing reoccurring questions, I may just make a whole nother video on just one specific topic, if that would be helpful for you guys. If you stuck around for this whole video, thank you so much. I would love to hear your thoughts as well in the comments. And then next video from me will hopefully be later this week or early next week, and it will be an announcement of my brand new Stuffies, which I am so excited about. It will be a 5-in-1 pattern, and if you've been in my Instagram stories, I've talked a little bit about this kind of new line of Stuffies that I am creating. So the first round of that new line of Stuffies will be coming out, and it's that 5-in-1 pattern. I'll announce what they are, show you what they are, and kind of just go behind the scenes of what it was like creating this type of Stuffy, and some new features that I haven't seen before in other Stuffies. So I think it's just going to be really exciting, and I think you guys are going to be really excited about it too. If you have an idea or guess as to what those first 5 Stuffies are going to be, I have done a little bit of sneak peeks on my Instagram, so you might have some ideas as to what it may be. So if you have a guess, go ahead and leave it in the comment, and it should be interesting to see if you guessed it right. So lots of things in store for 2025. Stick around, and I think you guys will be really excited about it. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.